We're not here to judge how you play Wordle. Maybe you're like us, picking a random 5-letter word from the depths of your brain and seeing where it takes you. But if you're the kind of person who needs to win under any circumstances, well, welcome to the Thunderdome. We're here to talk about Wordle starting word strategy, which is the one way to game Wordle that doesn't feel like outright cheating. So let's get into it. You've got 26 letters in the alphabet. Of those, 5 plus the letter Y at times are vowels, the basic building blocks for most words. So at a very basic level, any 5-letter combination that helps you rule out more vowels early is going to trim down possible answers. With that in mind, we can immediately pick out a few ideal starting words. There are others, but adieu, audio, and Ouija all cover 4 vowels. You won't know if any yellow or green letters appear twice, but you can at least eliminate some critical letters right at the start. Now that's good enough for most people, but it's also not that simple since not every letter is created equally. Yes, vowels appear in basically every word, but some are more or less common. The same goes for consonants. And then there's also the matter of the Wordle dictionary. There are more than 10,000 words the game will recognize as allowable guesses. But there's a much smaller list of words, only a few thousand, that qualify as possible solutions. And the New York Times even trimmed down that solution list when it acquired Wordle. So while you could use a more obscure word like aurii, the plural form of aureus, an ancient Roman gold coin, for a guess, it's not going to be the day's answer. If going vowel heavy isn't enough and you want to cover some of the more common consonants as well, raise is an ideal starting word since it covers the 3 most common vowels and the 2 most common consonants as they appear in dictionaries. What is the best Wordle starting word really? If you don't want to risk feeling like you're cheating Wordle, you might want to stop watching now. Okay, cool, you're still watching. The strategies we've walked through thus far will give you an edge, but if you want to dive deeper down the rabbit hole, a mathematician and computer scientist named Grant Sanderson made an excellent video on the topic. In it, Sanderson applied his knowledge of information theory to Wordle, and he coded some testing programs that measure things like letter frequency to determine the best of the best starting words. It's a dense 30 minutes of explanation that's heavy on the math talk, but Sanderson's friendly demeanor and willingness to take the time necessary to break down complex ideas makes it a must-watch for Wordle diehards. So yes, go watch it. But the ultimate takeaway leaves us with crane as the best Wordle starting word. But don't get too confident. It's not that simple. Because Sanderson's breakdown focuses on letter frequency, crane is just the first stage of information gathering. It's only the best if you use what you know about the right and wrong letters in that first word to inform a perfect second guess. Is your head swimming yet? Are you ready to go back to guessing a random word every time? Wait, because we're not even close to done yet. Sanderson dropped another video a week after the first one titled, "Oh wait, actually the best Wordle opener is not crane." Turns out there was a slight bug in his original test program. But he says right up front that the bug affects a very small percentage of cases, so it doesn't totally undermine all the lessons from the first video. Without getting too much into the heavy math, the bug relates specifically to solutions that have multiples of the same letter and how Wordle handles that. Sanderson felt the need to put out a second video because even though very little of the takeaways from the original video change, the final conclusion is effective. With that in mind, Sanderson's updated ideally starting word is sallet, an alternate spelling for sallet, which was a type of helmet worn during the Middle Ages. That said, trace and crate work nearly as well, especially since they're both actually potential Wordle solutions. But keep in mind, one of the most important takeaways from all this math is actually really simple. Your first guess is only strong in the context of the guesses that follow. That's the whole game of Wordle in a nutshell. But, there's another school of thought on how to approach solving Wordle. Strap in, here we go. Instead of playing it as intended, using each previous guess to inform the next one, you could stick to the letter frequency game and try to rule out the most common letters, consonants, and vowels both up front, irrespective of any clues you pick up. This approach effectively wastes your starting stretch of guesses on locked-in choices that are meant to narrow down the number of possible letters you have to work with. Just know that if you play Wordle in hard mode, this strategy won't work, since each successive guess needs to include any letters that are confirmed to be in the solution by the previous guess. Is there a best Wordle starting word that doesn't go so hard on all the math? All this is getting ridiculously complicated for a game about 5-letter words. For those who don't want to dive into Mathland, YouTuber Bentelect has a short, sweet breakdown of his starting strategy. Ratio first, then men's, then lucky. That's it. With those 3 choices, you'll have slimmed down the list of possible letters to the point that figuring out the solution with your final guesses becomes significantly easier. It's not a surefire winning strategy for everyday's puzzle, and there are other similar combos that might work, like Scaly, Guide, and Thorn. But the premise is the same, though. You're narrowing down the list of possible letters that could appear in the solution by casting the widest net possible, alphabetically speaking, with your first 3 guesses. So there you have it. There's no single perfect starting guess for Wordle. There are lots of them. You can keep guessing random words first, but if you want to win at any cost, hopefully this rundown of what works best will get you closer to climbing that daily streak into the triple digits.